G'day to viewers, welcome back to my channel, BT Rocketry. Today we're going to do a full tutorial on my ultimate air cannon rocket. So I managed to, these are to be used for future use, but I will actually use some of these now. So there's quite a few things here. Got my nose cone bottles, which doubles as a payload. Got my stickers here, some spray paint, which we might not use. Got a foot pump. Of course, this box is long enough to carry a hand pump. Trying to get a hand pump to get up to 95 psi might be a little bit difficult. This is brand new from from Kmart. I'm not sure if that's gonna work. Got myself some glue for my hot glue gun, with also spare glue sticks, small and thick. This time around, when I'm building this rocket, which is a demonstration model, I'll be using the skinnier glue sticks and not the thick ones. I've got a pair of scissors that I like to keep. New cable ties for my air cannon to be strapped on in the back of the ute. But then again, I might not have my ute for future. This is just something I found. Good to nice bottom base here, nice and straight. You can hook up to your tubes, rocket tubes. Got a foot pump, another foot pump, 100 psi, portable. I'm going to be testing that out too to see if you could actually really get to 100 psi. And I've got some extra plastic tags here, which will be used as fins, but I also have some small wooden ice cream sticks, of course my tubes, and some tape of different colors. So I grabbed one of these, I've cleaned it, I've got rid of all the soap from the tube. It's just a matter of just cutting it now. Nice to have a nice Stanley knife as well, and a bit of a rag as well, nice and clean rag. So this is my work table for the time being. I hope you can see me here, good. It's going to be an interesting build today. So it's a demonstration model. I might not launch it, as this episode is just a matter of building and show you how to build. Funny things how they actually pack these stuff up. So what I'd like to do is just go over with my knife, cut one side, get my glue gun. All my portable tools are now have been packed up and moved from this place. It's funny how when you buy a product such as a hot glue, they only give you 2 spares sticks. Nice to see maybe more than 5 or 10. But what can you do? That's the way they are. That's the way they sell these things. So got my power here. Just wanna, let's see. Got my little power here. It's got HDMI. You can plug in your HDMI stuff. Very clever design. And you got power points on each side. So to start off with, not sure if I'm going to need more than two, but we'll see. Oh, hot glue. Now, I managed to find 2 packs of these, but they're not really the same size. They might look the same, but this one is a bit more, has a smaller diameter than the other one. So we'll find out which one will suit the top of the tube. Definitely different size, as you can see. I will cut the end of both of these actually. I'm going to cut end of both of them. Pretty good, pretty straight. If it's not straight, give it a good cut. Make sure it's nice and cut. You like to prepare everything beforehand. I'll tell you, these scissors are pretty crap. I'll get some good ones. It might be big, but might help. Yeah, definitely helps. It helps to go as flat and straight as you can, because you do need it later on to line it up with the top of the tube. That's good enough. I might not cut this. Just let me check. Over here. This might actually work as well. So, you can see it's a little bit too loose. You can see that. I will go ahead and cut this one because it is a little bit smaller in diameter. Just using a plain old knife here. And that's nice and straight actually. That's pretty good. Don't need these for anything. No. Pretty much just throw it away. And just gonna mount this inside. And that's it. Nice. The bigger the diameter also means that when you wrap your tape around to able to fit this and secure into place, means you're going to need a much more wrapping that you need. And the more wrapping also means you're going to get a bit more weight in the front as well. So just grab anything you can that has a minimal or just be able to fit this into the tube. Okay, I think we're just going to work on the payload at the moment. So what I can do, because you do have different colored tubes, electrical tape is probably the best. Red tape with a red rocket. Now it's just a matter of finding the end of it. Okay, so once you find the end of it, so I reckon about an inch should do. But we actually forgot something major. This isn't going to go on here. And if you're building a short one, that's fine. You can put tape around here and hot glue on the tape, and then quickly just put this on, slide it in and give it a twist and make sure everything lines up. If you're carrying a payload, of course you do need an engine block in the front. So I almost made a mistake here because I'm supposed to put this on top of this. Look at that, a perfect fit. Perfect fit. That's it. Well, that's all you need. Big one, the big one will fit as well. But as I said, the smaller, if it fits in there very nicely. When you do apply the hot glue, you don't want the hot glue to be too hot. You just want to just enough hot glue in there. Grab your bottle straight away and just twist it. So knowing how much payload space I need, I can do now. Okay, so make sure that it's nice and straight. So grab some tape. I'm gonna put some. You can mark it off if you want, or you can go just directly onto here. Geez, my eyesight's pretty bad. So put on the table. Okay. Perfect. Make sure it's lined up nicely. Now, here's something that I almost forgot again. If you are going to use your rockets as a multi-purpose, I suggest that you don't do it this way. If you are going to do it in a competition use, you want to be able to take this off. So let me see what I'm going to do first. Okay, so I'm going to put this back. Okay, make sure it's nice and straight. Now you want half of this to go onto the payload or your bottle there, and half of it onto your tube there. So that's what I'm going to do now. Good. That's just one wrap. You don't need to go anymore because, like I said, if you go more, you're just gonna add unwanted weight in the front. So give it a good press, give it a good slide on the bottom, just like that. Make sure it's nice and smooth. If you're gonna test this through a wind tunnel, for example, you'll find out that the wind does not reach this part. So even if it's a little bit rough, this part won't matter in terms of smoothness. Okay, so that's done. This comes with a cap, and I'm not talking about this particular cap. Okay. It comes with another cap here. Take that off. You're not going to need this unless you're actually going to launch liquids such as milk. If you've seen the episode where I launch milk, I actually cut that piece off. I put a few drops of milk in here, and then I just close it up, and you'll see your liquids or other milk will stay in there. Great for that if you're using it, but I'm not going to be using that. Even though it's got a small hole in the tip, don't worry about it, it'll still work. So the idea here is try to minimize the weight in the front. So that looks fine, looks straight. Okay, next step is just to cut a little bit from the edge here on the end. Once again, nice sharp knife. That's pretty good. Just a little bit of a trim on here, so there's nothing sticking out. That should be fine. So you saw how good fitting this to the body, and now we'll see part this. We'll see this. Okay, it needs a little bit more trim because of where I cut it. It's actually a little bit curved. Get my scissors. You can do this with scissors, no problem. You can't do it with a knife, then just grab yourself some nice pair of scissors. Just cut it a little bit more. That's good, nice and straight. You don't have to sand inside or outside if you don't want to. Okay, let's see if this will fit on top. Yes, it does, no problem. So you can see how easy that fitting was to here and how easy fitting this is. So you can adjust now the length. Okay. Now in terms of the ultimate build, you do want to keep this nice and long. So if I check out the pivot point on this, okay. So the pivot point is where I can back that off a bit. That's where my finger is. That's the pivot point. Even though it might look okay, I might bring it a little bit back, maybe about an inch. And to get that 1 inch back pivot point, I'm going to have to add some fins. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do here, If you really want a really good secure with glue, you might want to sand this part down. Okay. And if you want, it's not necessary because I've never sanded the inside part of this, and I hardly ever sand this part. But if you want a really, really good secure and to last your rockets much longer, then I probably suggest that give it a good sand. Because this is a demonstration model, I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm going to bring this maybe about to where that line is. Now you can see that line. Just check that line. It's a good, the stickers, do not take the sticker off until after or before you spray paint, because you do need it to line things up, especially when you start putting your hot glue. So that makes it a great line of mark, or something to line it up very quick, so that's fine. Okay, so next step is plug in your hot glue gun to the power. I'm just waiting it now for it to heat up a bit. How the hell you use this stuff? So nice and easy construction here, guys. So nothing too fancy. Forget about using paper. I've seen a lot of people who make the nose cones. They're just absolutely terrible. Why would you build something that's not really aerodynamic? A great find, like I said, go to your arts and crafts shop, where you can find bottles like this. Okay. Kmart. Sits nicely. It does tend to be a little bit loose, but when your hot glue is in there and lined up, what you can do is just straight away just twist your rocket, make sure it's straight, just line it up. It started to heat up. Just going to add a glue stick in there. Okay. One glue stick loaded. Just waiting for it to heat up. The crucial part here is, guys, do not ever add your hot glue in here, because once you start sliding, that glue is going to travel up, and eventually it's going to get stuck somewhere around here, which means when you load it onto your air cannon, you're not going to be able to slide this all the way down to your air cannon. Make sure, again, if you're going to keep this for a long time, your models, give it a good sand. Make sure you put your hot glue on here. So as you're adding this on top, I'll show you in a sec. As you're adding this on top, you're literally pushing the hot glue that way. and none of the hot glue will be ended up here. It's all going to end up down here. When you do get the excess glue, it's going to show up here. Just run your fingers over it. Hopefully you're not going to burn your fingers, of course. I pretty much do everything with my fingers, so. This is a 10-watt hot glue. Getting hot. And just before I start pressing things, because this is going to take, it's going to be a little bit tricky because today is a bit of a cold day. And cold days, it means hot glue can make things hard straight away. So unless you got a nice warm environment like this room, which is still a little bit chilly, but if you got a nice warm day, you can do this with some few seconds delay before the hot glue does settle in. Another tip, if you're really experienced, is to use a heat gun so you can melt this. And as you're melting it, it'll shrink down and it'll attach itself to this hard tube itself. Just make sure that that everything is lined up properly when you do it too. I don't have a heat gun to shrink, but so I'm going to use hot glue instead. I'm going to test a little bit of this onto here. Yep, got some liquid hot glue coming out. We'll see how we go. I might have to clear some of this hot glue out a bit. And the reason why, because these sticks aren't really too long. You need to add another one on top. And that's pretty much it. Just gonna wait until see how quickly it solidifies. So yeah, not bad. Okay, so this gives me an idea of the timing of when to put it on the tube and to slide the other tube on top. So put this aside. Okay, so I got to make sure everything here, get everything nice and ready and prepared so I can slide that in. So I'm going to add some glue. So I'm going to go around here with my nailies and just continue till I get to a certain spot. I can use a pencil. You can use a pencil if you want. Just line this up. Marker with a pencil or a permanent marker or anything you have. So you know exactly how low you should go with your hot glue. You can see the line just up here. Okay, let's see how this goes. You want to be able to twist this straight away. So here goes I want to start from the top. Nicely done. Nice and thick. Nice and thick. Go a little bit further down, straight away, nice and thick, hot glue. On the side, grab your tube, slide it. Wow, that went solid straight away. That went solid straight away. So take it off, take it off. I want to take that off straight away. Just doing a pre-check here. If you're not going to sand it, this is the only time that the hot glue will come off easily. But if you are sanding it, it might get a little bit hard to get these hot glue out. I'm going to do this again. Like I said, it's a little bit chilly at the moment in the room. I probably should have put the heater on, but too late now. Get as much as you can out. See if it fits. Okay. Okay, here we go for a second try. Getting the excess glue out. Okay. This time I'll go zigzag because I'm used to going zigzag as well. Put that on. Back that on. That was close. And straight away, just run my fingers over the joint. So that's not bad. There's the line that I told you about. So I managed to get close to it. Before I used to zigzag the hot glue. As I'm turning, just zigzag it. And as it gets to the end, just quickly just wipe it off with your finger if you can. Again, it does give you that extra security, bit of extra peace of mind. So not only that we've got hot glue in there, we also got hot glue down here for that extra bit of secured. So looking at it, good. It's not crooked. See crooked? Nope, I don't see anything crooked. Okay, so that's fine. Now we're gonna just check the pivot point on here and I'm gonna mark it off. I'm just going to use my finger here as a balancing point. So this is where my pivot point is, right here. That should actually still fly. So the pivot point is much better than my previous rockets because of my, if you look at our Aries 4, you had a little bit too much extra tape in the front. And the pivot point was a little bit forward. But because this one's no hot glue, no nothing, it's just a piece of tape here. Again, nice and secure. the pivot point is actually down the back here. And just to get an accurate reading of the pivot point, just going to put on the end of the table like I normally do. And show exactly where it is. Might not be able to see it from here, but it's a bit of a seesaw thing, so you do have to play around. Even a few millimeters forward, a few millimeters back. Okay, I'm going to grab my pencil and mark it off. Okay. So I'm just trying to see, okay. My new pivot point is right where my finger is. Looking at it, that's actually quite good. So, okay. I still might need to bring a little bit further back. Just turning off my hot glue gun because I'm not going to need it for now. Just for the moment. Now to bring the pivot point to about an inch roughly. So 4 fins. And what I want to do here before I glue anything, very important, very crucial, is to put these 4 in here. Okay? And then put your rocket back on the table to measure the, to see where the pivot point is now. So give me a second, guys, again. Okay. Mark it off. Okay, so there's our first pivot point. You can see it right here. So with the 4 wooden ones that I put in there, you brought it a little bit further back. That's probably about just over half an inch. So it's the next line past the half-inch mark. Yeah, the next line after the past the half an inch. And what you can do next, you just take these off. Okay, put them on the side. And just looking at it, sometimes all it takes is just a bit of a visual. I don't have my Aries 4 to compare where the pivot point is. Normally I would compare it, but they've all been thrown into rubbish now. So what I'm going to do next, with the Atlas, it was a bit shorter, so I could get away with using the wooden ones, the ice cream ones. But now we're going to compare the wooden ones with these plastic, which I normally use now. So make sure you don't glue anything until you do your proper testing. So 4 in there. I'm going to recheck my pivot point now, once again. See how far back it's actually goes back, by how much. So bear with me, guys. I'm just putting the rocket at the end of the table. Almost there. Once the tip of the nose starts lifting up and it's stable, oops, I reckon somewhere around there. Okay, so you can see those 3 lines. That first one without the wooden fins and the plastic. This is the pivot point now from the wooden fins, and this is the new pivot point for using the plastic ones. So just to give you a better idea, I'm going to grab some nice visual tape here, and I always like to mark where my pivot point is. So yellow is a good visual. Need scissors. Okay, so in front of that tape there is a new pivot point. So that's how long the rocket is now. You can see. Okay, so the center of the rocket is somewhere around here. Yep, about here. Now it's back here. You don't want to go too far back, otherwise it's just gonna go tail heavy too much. There's a certain spot where, yes, being tail heavy, it's fine if it's tail heavy a bit, but not too much. So what we're going to do next, the other thing you might notice that once I put the fins on, I'm going to add the hot glue, and I'll show you exactly the fins plus the hot glue where the new pivot point will be again. So get rid of these wooden fins. I'm going to plug in my hot glue gun once again. Again, if you are going to use hot glue, you're better off sanding it. This is a demonstration model, so I'm not going to be sanding it. If it does impact the ground, the fins might break off because it's such a smooth surface. The hot glue, even though the hot glue will stick on there, if it does impact, like a really good impact, the hot glue and the fin will come off because that is such a smooth surface. So if you're worried about coming off during the impact and landing, give it a nice good surface, just a bit of a sand, bit of a rough surface, and the hot glue will stick there for quite a long time too. Okay, so while the hot glue is warming up, these things have a bit of you might have to trim some of these things on the front. Just a bit of with a Stanley knife, just go over it so it's nice and sharp. So I'm going to need 4 of these. Want to check the bottom as well. This one's fine. And this one's fine. No problem. Because the table is such a short table, I'm going to add some weight in the front. I'm going to just chuck a towel in the front. Chuck maybe a pair of scissors to keep the little bit of weight in the front when I add the fins. Make sure your rocket is nice and straight on the table. Normally I would like to put glue on here. I'm going to give that a try first. And because this thing does actually dries up very quick. I hope it sticks right on time. I hope it doesn't dry up too much. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it into place. Okay, so just had enough time. That's nice and solid. Nice and hard and solid now. You could still snap off, but I'm going to show you something later on, shortly, to make it even harder. So next one, when you put in the next one, make sure the fin that I just put is now pointing down. So you can line that up. You can mark it off if you want, not a problem. I don't have to because at least I know what I'm doing. So nice straight. One, 2, 3, 4. Hold it there for a few seconds. Now you got 2 fins on the bottom. If you do make a mistake, you can easily just take it off. Again, demonstration model, doesn't have to be perfect. So now I'm just gonna put the fins this way on that plane. You can get away with, if the fin is a little bit shorter than the other one, you can get away with performance. It's not a problem. I'm just going to make sure it's level. To the next one. And all I'm doing is just lining up the end of the fin with the end of the rocket. That's what mixes hot glue. They shouldn't be there. Clean the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. If it does get a little bit crooked, you can always give it a bit of a twist so it lines up. But if it does get really bad, you can just take it off, snap it off, take the glue off because it's still a smooth surface. It's easy to take it off, of course, the hot glue. So that's the third one. Now we're going to just tip it over upside down and install our fourth one. So just to line that up nicely. One, 2, 3, 4. Just 4 drops. That is fine. There's a lot of these hot glue strings. Okay. So once that's done, just give it a bit of a clean here. Trying to get all these hot glue strings out. A bit of a nuisance. So there's your 4 fins. Okay. Now all you want to do now is grab the hot glue and literally just pass at the edge. So right at the end here in the corner, at each corner of the fin. So one there, nice line up here, bit of glue, then with a rag or a little bit of a stick, or even with your finger, if you're not worried about getting heat on your finger, hot, you can just slide your stick just like that down and gives you that nice smooth surface. I'm just going to use my finger, so nice and thick amount. Run your finger straight away. Okay, it's not that hot, but if it does get too hot, make sure you got a rag in place. You can see how smooth that surface is right now, that joint between here and the fin. Okay, so you want to get nice and smooth surface. The smoother it is, the more better, more aerodynamically better, and less drag. Do it on both sides, of course. Very nicely done. You can see on this side. And I'm just going to repeat all these. Sometimes it's better to do it this way too, because it reduces those few drops of hot glue you put in there. It does create a bit of a bump. So once you put more hot glue there and smooth it out, you're going to reduce that bumping, the bump on the actual joint. So that part's done, that's done. hot glue will always going to stick on your fingers no matter what. Very nicely done. I've got one more fin to do. Then try and do two sides at the same time because this is a 10 watt. It's not as hot like my portable hot glue was. Okay, I had just enough hot glue here to do both sides. So now just disconnect the hot glue gun, put it in a safe place. So that's pretty much it. Before we do go any further, again, we're going to do our last pivot test because we did add some hot glue in the end, and we'll show you exactly where the new pivot point is. And I can tell straight away it's coming back at quite a bit actually. Okay. Okay, you can see how far the pivot point has gone back. That line there, the pencil, that's that new pivot point that I was telling you about. The one in front of the tape is when we put the fins in the back here. But once you start adding weight from the hot glue to the back, all lined up, that'll come back. And I can tell you how far it'll come back. So before hot glue and after hot glue, almost a centimeter. Almost. So once you put the hot glue in, you're gonna bring that one centimeter of the pivot point a little bit further back. So by just looking at it overall, that is fine. That's absolute good. That's fine. You can see the new pivot point is it's right dead center of that yellow tape, sticky tape. Okay. That will fly no problem. But you can see how far we started off our pivot point. Which used to be here. Then we added those wooden fins just like that. No hot glue. It was here. Then we added our plastic fins. Pivot point was here, and that with the extra glue, the hot glue that we just added now, that's where the new pivot point is. But like I said, you don't have to go too far back. So overall change of that pivot point in terms of centimeters, well, let's see if we can do it in exactly 1.5 inch. Exactly 1.5 inch from where we started. So with the placement of the bottle this, the hot glue in place, all that part. Once you had all that part, that's where the new pivot point started. Once you start working the fins, the hot glue in the back, that's where the final pivot point is. And it's exactly 1.5 inch. So if I go the complete length of the rocket itself, it's just a tad over 31 inches. 31.5 inch. So 31.5. Yep, 31.5 inch long, guys. So from the pivot point to the back, it's exactly 13 inches. That's spot on. So 13 inches from the back to the pivot point. Otherwise it's 31.5 long. So that's quite good. I've done quite well, especially not putting too much weight in the front, as you can see. Just one wrap of electrical tape in the front. I even took the cap off in the front as well to reduce the weight. Even if you are going to put something on the top now, payload, you should not have any problems with the center of balance. Again, it's just a matter of now just going out to the field and testing it and see if it's going to backslide or is it going to come nicely down. That's all open area. That's your boost phase. The longer the better, as I said. But once you start adding some weights, be careful of how heavy your weight is because it will shift. Even if it's shifted from mid there to here, shouldn't be a problem because it's quite far back visually, as you can see. So shouldn't be a problem. The next step, of course, now is if you want, is to spray paint. I'm not going to spray paint, but I will. Maybe I'll whack some decals on there. Maybe. Don't have to really. But if I was to call this, it'll probably be the Atlas 2. So I already have Aries 4. And I know how good Atlas has been performing so far. Very good. So if I was to build a next step from the Atlas, it'll be this. Of course, you can go a little bit shorter because Atlas is a little bit shorter. So I think I've cut about that short from Atlas. But if it's a full size that you're after, that's pretty much it. So this is it. This is your best air rocket design I've ever come up with. It might be the best air rocket in the world that I've come up with. Okay. No paper, all tube, very strong, durable, reliable. If you don't want the payload in the back, you don't have to. All you got to do is just take this off the tape. Okay, and you can use it as a competition use now. Okay, let's redo the pivot point without the payload. And I'll see how far back it'll go. Okay, gonna mark it off. Okay, so without the payload, that pivot point now is here. as you can see. Okay, so when you pull back in the camera, look at the length of the rocket. Look at where the mark is. That's where you want. That's acceptable. That's really acceptable. Okay. So that's perfect. I don't think I'm going to have any problems launching this or flying it because, like I said, as long as you know where your center line is of the rocket, always want to go 1.5 inch back. But this is a little bit further back. That's fine. You can just tell that it's actually just fine. So that's absolute spot on. Shouldn't have any problems. So just a matter of now, like I said, you can spray paint it. If you don't, you don't have to. It's just going to add a little bit of weight to it. Talking about weight, I need to bring my scale and we'll see how heavy it is. So bear with me. I'll be back in a jiffy. Nope. Okay guys, so we're back. We've got our scale here, digital scale. So I put the payload back on. Got a single wrap of electrical tape on there. We're gonna measure it in grams. You can lie down or you can stand up if it does stand up. Nope, just lie down. And she weighs 82 grams. That's 82 grams. So this is, I think, Ares 4 was the same weight. I believe so. So without the payload, that's 77 grams. If you want that in ounces, .7 ounce. So people who launch rockets using the Estes motors, they can chuck in a, like I said, a B or a C. That's the weight you're going to get. 2.7 ounces. Okay, so I'm firing through an air cannon, so it's a different story. So that's it. 82 with the payload and 77 without the payload, just as is. And of course, once you start adding your spray paint, surprisingly, when you spray paint it, it only adds 1 gram, and that's about it. If you are adding decals, naming it, it's going to add another 1 gram extra more. So that's all you got to be aware of. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think I've covered everything on how to build the ultimate air-powered rocket in the world. The best design, best build. If you are gonna spray paint a whole lot. It just looks much better when you spray paint. Again, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Add in the decals. You can do it wherever you want. It's not gonna cause any weight effect on anywhere if you add in the decals at all. So that shouldn't be any problem at all. So there it is. We just built a rocket and it took probably about an hour and a half. According to the video, about an hour and 10 minutes. Almost an hour and 10 minutes. Wow. This is probably the longest video I've ever done, actually. So how to build the ultimate air-powered rocket launching from an air cannon. That's all the details I have for you today, guys. Like I said, I might launch it, maybe not. But I know it works. I know it's going to work. All your information is there. So give yourself a bit of a go. get out there, get your parts, make sure they fit nicely, not too loosely, because if you do add too loose on the top, you can start wrapping more paper. It just means more weight in the front. Also means you need to put more weight in the back. So be careful of all those things like that. As I said, I mentioned it in my previous episodes. I believe it was introduction to air cannon rocketry or something like that. Check that out. And best of luck with everyone out there. And that's it. This is my special episode on how to build the ultimate air-powered rocket. So see what you like here, guys. Thank you very much for supporting me, liking me. Like to hear your comments about what you think. And if you do build it yourselves and flying it, leave a comment below, and it helps me understand more and more. Does yours work better? Maybe something missing, maybe it works worse, maybe better. Depends on the weather, of course. Yeah, so that's it. All good, all done. And that's it. Air cannon rocketry, all done. And don't know if I'm going to say it till you see you next time, but we'll see. So that's all I have for today. So best of luck out there, guys, and take care. Fly safe. Bye for now.